So volume is just the area of a base times the height. So all we have to do for the volume, find the area of that half circle and multiply by that height of 20. So the area of that half circle is going to be pi times radius squared. What's the radius? 6 squared, of course, divided by 2 because it's a half a circle. Gives us 56.52, correct? Five two. Use the pi key, I use 3.14. So for the volume, it's the area of that base, 56.52 square inches, times the height of 20 inches, which is going to give us 1130.4. Yeah, same difference. It's just the difference of the pi key versus the 3.14. So 1,000, because inches squared times inches is inches cubed, cubic inches. Volumes are always in cubic inches.
You don't divide that by 2?
Nope, nope, because we already did that when we did the base. The base was divided by 2. You could have done the whole cylinder and then divided the whole thing in half, but then you'd have left that as a full circle for the base, and then divided it in half. We divided the base in half to make the half circle already. So that is our volume. Surface area we have the area of that circle, the 56.52. We got that twice. I'm going to write that over here. We've got one on bottom and one on top. We've got a rectangle. It's 12 inches by 20 inches. That's just this rectangle right here, which is going to be 240 square inches. I'm just putting in the 0.00 so it matches up. Next, what we have left is the surface that wraps around there. If we unroll that surface, we just get a big rectangle that's 20 inches high. This here is just this distance here. So that distance is going to be half of the circumference of that circle. So circumference is pi times diameter, and then it's half of that. So we're going to divide by 2. Could have done pi times 6. That'd be just dividing by 2 before you multiply it, yeah. So pi times 12 divided by 2 gives us 18.84 approximately, right? Yeah. So that area is 18.84 inches times 20 inches, which is going to give us 376.8 square inches, correct? So we add that all up. We get 4, 18, 19, 22, 729.84. Does that look right? Inches squared. What do you think? So that is our surface area. Well, today I want to divide that surface. We want to talk about that surface area a little bit more. Surface area is divided into 2 pieces. The first piece is the area of the base or bases. I'm going to put that S in parentheses because sometimes it's only going to be one base. Everything we've done so far has had 2 bases, but sometimes it'll only be 1 base. Second portion of surface area is something called lateral area, or lateral surface area sometimes. In this figure we just did here, area of the base is easy to pick out. That's just this half circle down here. That's the base. That's the shape that this is based off of. I could grab onto that circle and I could pull it through to the other end, right? There's no other shape that I could pull through to the other end. Well, in this shape then, there's two of those. So those are my bases. Those are the areas of my bases. The lateral area then is the area of this rectangle here, and the area of this rectangle we got wrapping around here. So these two pieces were the lateral area. The lateral area is literally the surfaces that connect the bases. And if there's two equal bases, those lateral areas will almost always be rectangles, or it can be turned into rectangles like we did here. You know, we had the 12 by 20, which was a rectangle, and then this 20 by 18.84 was this surface here that we unrolled flat and made it flat into a rectangle. The lateral area can be simplified a little bit. Rather than having to find separate rectangles like that, what we could have done was let's say I sliced it right here and unrolled this all the way around. Instead of doing the rectangle separate from the curved part, the flat part separate from the curved part, put them all together. All that would have done is it would have put this rectangle on the end of here, right? So this would have been 18.84 plus 12, or 30.84. If I would have multiplied 30.84 inches by 20 inches, I would have got the total of these two, which would have been 616.8 square inches. But let's look at this here, 30.84. What is that really defining? Well, if I look at my original picture, that would go from here to here and then around to there. What is that? It's a distance around, or a perimeter of the base. Yeah. It is the perimeter of the base. The lateral area can be defined as the perimeter of the base times that height. So the volume is the area of the base times the height. The lateral area is the perimeter of the base times the height. So when we look at stuff, it makes all of our formulas really kind of, we don't need formulas. We can just put things together with those two basic concepts. You know, we've done simple cylinders. Let's do another one here, quick. Pretend that actually looks like a cylinder. That's not horrible. So if I wanted to find the volume of this, so volume, the first thing I'm going to find is the area of the base. The area of base is going to be pi times what? Radius squared, which would be 10. So 10 squared. Which comes out to be 314 feet squared. From that, I'm going to find the volume by doing the area of the base, 314 feet squared, times the height of 50 feet, which gives me 1,570 feet cubed. There's my volume. Yes. I might have got my decimal point in the wrong spot. I bet that should be 15,700. There. Better? You bet. Well, thank you. I screwed that up. Surface area. We have the area of the base. We've already found that. It's 314 square feet. I'm writing it down twice because there's two of them. To find lateral area, I first must find the perimeter of the base. Since the base is a circle, the perimeter is a circumference. Circumference of that circle is pi times diameter. Pi times 20, which is 62.8 feet. So the lateral area is 62.8 feet times 50 feet of height. Otherwise known as 3,140 square feet. So I add that all up, I get 3,768 as my total surface area. What do you think? Better than a sharp stick in the eye? So far, still, kind of, sort of, maybe. Well, let's see how well you have learned. I want to make this not quite as ugly. Trying to figure out the way to make it as least ugly as possible. There's the center of the circle on the hypotenuse of that triangle. That's a right angle. And let's say this height here is going to be 12 inches. See if you can find volume and surface area. So for volume, step one is to find the area of the base. Our base here is in two parts. We have the triangle right here. It's just going to be 6 inches by 8 inches divided by 2 to give us 24 square inches. Yes? Well, that would be needed for the next part. Because we got to find the area of this half circle, don't we? To find the area of that half circle, we need to know the radius. But to do that, we need to know the diameter. So that'd be 6 squared plus 8 squared equals, call that probably, I'll take that D out of this, it's confused. We call that C, is C squared. What's C come out to be? 10 inches? So that is 10 inches. So for the area of that half circle, it's pi times 5 squared. The radius would be half the diameter, over 2 because it's only a half a circle. which is 39.25. Yes? Cool. So that gives us 63.25 square inches is the area of our base. Anybody get that for the area of the base? Right-ish track. So then our volume is simply 63.25 square inches times 12 inches. $759 cubic inches. How many have we got that? One? You guys, you see how we got it, or you look kind of nervous over there? You see how we got it, or is it confusing? Okay, we had to find the area of this shape first. And to find the area that, we broke it down in two shapes. We broke it down to this triangle here, which was 6 by 8. Then we divide it by 2 because it's a triangle, right? So that we found that piece there. Then we had to find the half circle here. To find that, we needed to know this diameter across there. So we went back to the fact that since this is a right triangle, it's leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Does that look familiar? So we did that. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And it gave us that this had to be 10 across here. So that's where we got C equals 10. 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. Add those together, we get 100, and you square root it to get C is 10. So then we got to find the area of that half circle. Now that we know that, the radius is going to be 5. So that's why we did pi times 5 squared and divided by 2 because it's a half circle. So that gave us 39.25 is the area of that half circle. So then we just add together the two pieces, the triangle and the half circle. So the 24 and the 39.25. To get an area of that base, that yellow part, that highlighted part there, is 63.25. So then the volume of anything that's regular shape like this is just the area of its base times its height. So we took the area of the base, which is the 63.25, times the height, which is just the 12. Gave us 759 cubic inches. So that's the volume. So anytime we do a volume, it's always the area of a base times a height, or a distance between bases. For surface area now, so we've got the area of the base, which I wrote down twice. Why did I write it down twice? There's two bases, one on top, one on bottom. Then we got lateral area. To do lateral area, we have to find the perimeter of the base. Well, the perimeter of the base here is going to be 6 plus 8 plus the distance around this half circle, right? That half circle has a diameter of 10 inches. So its circumference, well, the distance from this is half the circumference, right? So that's circumference over 2. So that's going to be pi times 10 divided by 2. Make sense? 15.7, you are correct. Which adds up to be 29.7 inches is the perimeter of my base. So that means my lateral area. So I found the distance from here all the way around the base. Why is that distance important? Because if I take all these lateral surfaces, I've got a rectangle here, I've got this curved shape and I've got a rectangle over on this side. If I take them and I unroll them all out, I get a rectangle. The height of that rectangle is still the 12 inches, still this height. The length of that rectangle is that distance around the base, the perimeter of the base, which is what we just found to be the 29.17. So that lateral area is that perimeter of the base, 29.7 inches, times that height of 12 inches. $356.4. Square inches. I add those all up. I get a surface area, total surface area, 482.90. What do you think? Still not convinced? Well, I think you need one more example then. So that is a rectangle with a half circle on the end of it. So let's put in some dimensions here. We're going to call this here 8 feet. This here from here to here, we're going to call 10 feet. And let's call this here 15 feet. Give it a shot. I want you to find volume. Remember, to find volume, you find the area of the base first. The area of the base is just going to be the area of this rectangle with the half circle on the end of it. Then your volume is the area of that base times the height, which is just going to be the 15. Then find surface area. For now, find the volume. I'll give you a couple minutes to find the volume. So for the area of that base, we have two pieces. We have this rectangle that is 8 by 10. Which is simply 80 square feet. Then we have this half circle here that has a radius of 4, half the 8. So that'll be pi times 4 squared and then divided by 2, otherwise known as 25.12 square feet, which gives us an area of the base of 105.12 square feet. Which then says our volume, 105.12 is the area of our base, square feet, times our 15 feet of height. Actually, it's 1576.8, isn't it? Cubic feet, is that correct? So that's our volume. For surface area, remember you've got the area of the base twice. Then for lateral area, you got to find the perimeter of the base. perimeter of the base is going to be found by adding up those 3 straight sides plus the half circle. So then your lateral area will be that perimeter of the base times that height, which is still 15. So I'll give you a minute in your notes, see if you can get that to work. So the area of our base we already found. It's 105.12 square feet. We got to write that down twice because there's a base on top and one on bottom. Perimeter of our base, well, 10 plus 8 plus 10. Plus, this is going to be pi times diameter, which is 8, divided by 2. So 12.56 feet. So that adds up to a perimeter of our base of 40.56 feet. So our lateral area is that perimeter, 40.56 feet, times our height of 15 feet. Which gives us what? That don't seem right. 40.56 times 15, I get 608.4. So of course that adds up to 818.64 square feet of total surface area. In your little book, Unit 28.